6:52 now, and this is 1320 WILS on a Monday, a full week this week. No getting off for Thanksgiving this time around. We're going right through to Friday. This holiday season we're heading into may be a joyous one for you, but not for many seniors. It can be a time of deep depression. Someone who knows a lot about this is Dr. Kelley Newcomer. She's the medical director at Manchester Place Group Homes, the senior living homes. Dr. Newcomer, great to have you here.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and this, you're the medical director, and you deal with, is it usually physical problems or emotional ones too?
Both of those are definitely issues in the elderly population.
Yeah, and and these are the Manchester homes. These are what assisted living type environments, or?
Right. They're assisted living group homes, so they have between 8 and 12 residents living there with full-time caregivers.
Yeah, and what is it like, especially in the holidays? Do their family members come by, or are they often alone? What happens?
Well, certainly they do come by. I think that the tough thing about it is, and what I tell families a lot when they're deciding to move their parent is, you can never replace, you yourself, the children, can never replace a whole network of friends and family. And so when a person is not able to get out and be involved in the community, and they're basically either at home or in a facility, it's very isolating. And a lot of times, a lot of people aren't dropping by to see them. So even if the children go by every day to see them for, say, 30 to 45 minutes, that still leaves 23 hours a day that their family and friends are not around.
Mm-hmm. So they're there. And what about, do they develop friendships with other residents, or is that somehow difficult?
Well, certainly they can. I think that's a challenge especially if they're living in a place where they're cognitively normal and their problems are physical, but they're surrounded by people with cognitive limitations. And so that sort of limits their ability to form good relationships with people around them.
The Alzheimer's, that kind of thing?
Yes, definitely.
And so what do they do? I mean, how do they express their loneliness? How do you see that?
Well, I think there's two things to think about here. There's true depression, which is, a medical condition, and about somewhere between 1% and 5% of the elderly population at any one time is considered, will meet criteria for depression. Mm-hmm. But for those who are homebound, that number jumps up to 13.5%.
Homebound? You mean in their own home or in an assisted living home?
Either one. And for patients that are hospitalized, elderly seniors, it's about 11.5%. So it's a significant problem. But I think that's very different from patients who are just experiencing a lot of sadness and loss around the holidays. Because, one thing that I think makes the holidays very difficult for them is they have all of these memories of years and years and years of Christmases, but they were enjoyed with people who are no longer with them. And so it can be a time of just great sadness, even if they're not clinically depressed.
Yeah. Do you find a lot of the residents you talk to, do they spend most of their time reflecting on the past then?
Yes, I would say a good majority of seniors spend a lot of their time living in the past.
That is sad to think about. But are they good memories usually, or is it just sadness that seems to be there?
I think they're good memories. I think they're sad because those people are no longer with them. And, a lot of seniors have a lot of losses, whether it's loss of loved ones or loss of their health, loss of their independence, and those things can be really magnified around the holidays.
Well, I'm surprised the numbers you said, 1% to 5% or 11% if you're homebound. I'm surprised it's not much bigger. How do so many seniors avoid being depressed then?
Well, I think there's a lot of options. I think, number one, exercise is really important, just like it is for younger folks. It may just mean something a little bit different. They may be doing chair exercises or things like that, but exercise is really important. Being exposed to sunlight and being out in the fresh air, just like for young people, that's very important for older adults because, we have a lot of seasonal affective disorder this time of year, which is basically seasonal depression that happens because of decreased light and light exposure.
Well, yeah, and it gets dark so fast. I think I'm affected as we speak. I'm talking, by the way, to Dr. Kelley Newcomer, medical director at Manchester Place Group Homes. Last time we talked, you were telling me that you were with your husband moving his mother to an assisted living home, right?
Yes, we are. And unfortunately, she fell and broke her hip 2 days before our planned move.
Wow.
So she has since then been in a rehab facility undergoing skilled nursing rehab.
Wow. So she never got to move into the home then?
No, we're hoping to do that in about 3 more weeks.
Oh, that sounds very traumatic. That's got to be tough. How's she dealt with that kind of hip fracture break?
Well, I think, sadly enough, I think she's the perfect example of exactly what we're talking about today. Her husband passed away in February. She is losing her independence. She's not really able to live at home anymore, and she's had some serious physical challenges this year. And so, I think the things that we can do to help combat this in family members is to really try very hard to keep them involved and engaged in our lives, either through social media, if they can do that, with, iPads and computers, if they're able to do those things. And then also with getting them involved in activities. Like one thing that we do with some of our residents this time of year, one thing that they really can help with is we encourage their children to bring in their Christmas gifts so that they can wrap them for them, because we all have a million packages to wrap and not enough time to get it done.
For them to wrap, who's wrapping whose gifts there?
They're wrapping just gifts that need to be wrapped for their children. Like, for example, with my mother-in-law, I have 3 teenage boys, and she's wrapping their presents.
I got to give them something to do, and they enjoy that process.
Exactly, and they feel like they're contributing and helping, and it's a good way for seniors to be involved this time of year and to help you as well if you're their caregiver.
Yeah, and so what do you do during the holidays? Do families come and pick up their loved ones and bring them home for the holidays, or how do they deal with the holiday season?
It depends. Some people do bring them home for the day. Most residents who are living in residential care require quite a bit of care and aren't really able to go away for any extended time unless their family members have a lot of specialized training. So a lot of times, like most of the facilities will have Christmas parties and Hanukkah parties at the facility that family members can then come to.
I rarely think about that stage of life. Is it something should it be viewed with some trepidation at all, or?
Well, I think you can't really worry about things you can't control, and that is definitely one thing we can't control. I mean, we can live as healthy a lifestyle as possible, but many of the factors that affect how we will age are very much out of our control. And so I personally don't live in trepidation of that, because I feel like that's where we're all going someday, and I think it's our duty as younger people in that process to really try to help those folks older than us, knowing that someday we'll probably need the same kind of help.
What about those who don't have children in the assisted living environment? How do they get through the holidays?
That can be really tough. I do have a few residents who never had children during their lifetime or have outlived their children. And that's where I think volunteers can really provide some helpful support. And, volunteering at your local assisted living or senior center is a great idea, and it's a great way for you to teach your children, as a young, healthy person, raising your own children, to give back to the community.
Yeah. Are they the ones that tend to be depressed, the ones that don't have children and family to be there with them, or?
Certainly people with less involved family members are generally struggle more with loneliness and depression.
Yeah, it's, But it's, you work in the environment, so you have a real clear view of what's ahead. And your view is it's okay when it's all said and done, this stage of life?
I think it can be a great stage of life. I think we just have to kind of embrace where we are, because we can't change it. And
what's the best part of it? I mean, what's the highlight of that part of their existence?
Well, I think a lot of people can really reflect back on their life and say, I've done a good job. My children are productive members of society. And I think a lot of people receive a lot of personal satisfaction from basically, a life well lived.
Mm-hmm. But the key is to stay connected, though, and to have family members come by. Do you tell family members how you need to come by more often, that kind of thing?
We sure do. We encourage them to come as often as possible. And, I think one thing it would be a good thing to review is, what are some symptoms that should prompt in caregivers and family members? I think it's time to talk to the doctor about this. I think this is more than being sad around the holidays.
Okay. It's Dr. Kelley Newcomer, it's a medical director at Manchester Place Group Homes, ManchesterPlaceCareHomes.com. Dr. Newcomer, thank you very much.
Thank you.